Good.
Day number 2. More faces around the clubhouse and everything else. How does that feel?
It feels good. I mean, shoot, we had a ton of guys here. We had a mini camp in San Diego. Our guys have been ready to go for a while now, so it's good to see guys here early and ready to go. And, with this kind of staggered report dates and who's here is WBC, and it just seems like it's almost a full squad at this point, so it's nice to see.
What's kind of the message for today and the rest of the week?
No message right now. We'll wait till everybody gets here. When all the pitchers get here, we have a little short meeting, and then when everybody reports, then we have a much bigger meeting. But we, as a staff, we get around and talk to these guys enough to know that right now we're just trying to get ourselves in shape for a season.
What did you learn about the benefits of a 6-man rotation last season?
Yeah, I think really what I learned was the feedback I got from the starters that it allowed them to prepare a little bit differently. And, whether it was a higher pitch count that we were able to do with some guys maybe early on, but taking advantage of that extra day seemed to, all our guys were on it. I was a little concerned about it early on. So, you look at what do we got, 24 games, 25 days early on. We rely on our starters. They were fresh at the end of the year. There were a lot of things that popped up because of this. So if we were able to do it, I wouldn't put it past us doing it again.
Could that be beneficial for guys like Nick and Seth, who are kind of not retransitioning that role, they've done it before, but who are kind of building back up to that?
Probably. I think everybody benefits.
It seemed like that maybe wasn't your preference last year. Has your outlook on it changed?
It has. I mean, the guys that I had been with before, the 5-day routine is something that they really wanted to adhere to and didn't feel like you need more rest. You get off days during the course of the season that you get an extra day, typically a lot anyway, but it was more getting the feedback from the starters that they enjoyed it, especially some of maybe, our key guys like, Joe and you. And Yu's a guy that likes to get out there and pitch, and he even said, this is something that, is keeping me a little bit fresher.
You mentioned guys being here and the minicamp. What does it say about the group that there is that kind of motivation to get after it?
Yeah, I think everybody sees the team that we have here, this year and what where we came from last year. So I think, a lot of guys are eager to get going again. We brought in some high-profile guys again this year to add to a group that went to the NLCS last year. So everybody's hungry to improve upon that.
Last year you guys are coming off a pretty tough year, and it was your first year. Obviously a different set of circumstances this time around. Have you noticed a pretty clear difference just in the vibe and the mood given coming off one experience as opposed to last year?
I think just for myself, it's just much more comfortable. I was in an organization for 11 years, and you come into a new one, and there's so many new things that you have to acclimate to. And it's the same way for players coming in here too. So we definitely brought enough guys back where there's a core group here. Majority of the coaching staff, so you try to create some continuity. So it's just a much more easy feeling, walking your way around and just knowing all the nuances of, not only like the spring training complex, but the organization.
Have you had that conversation with Juan Soto yet about potentially positionally where he might play this season?
Yep. Yeah, I think left is what we're gonna work on with him and try to keep him in one spot. So that was the conversation I had with him.
And he espoused the importance of being in that one spot.
Right. Yeah, he'll play anywhere. He just wants to be able to. He's his preparation's pretty epic. Whether it's what he does, on the offensive end, but defense too. So he'd like to be able to prepare in the same position. He would be open for anything, but I think it makes sense to try to keep him in one spot.
It seemed like last year you kind of kept guys in their place. I mean, Jerkson was a good example of a guy with some versatility, but he fit in left, you kept him there. Do you expect it to be different this year, guys bouncing around? Or is your preference to kind of lock a guy in like Juan, or especially the infield guys, and have that consistency day in, day out?
No, not necessarily. I mean, it just depends on who that person is. In Pro's case, he was a guy that moved around, was actually an infielder most of his career. But when you move a guy to the outfield and it wasn't his natural position, you want to have him be able to, to work in one spot and work on it every day. We do have some guys here that are versatile, and we'll have some guys that'll move around.
Could that apply to another long-term infielder that might be playing in the outfield this year?
He could be, yeah. Yeah, we've talked about that too. we still have to get through spring, and then there's 20 games before, if we're talking about the same guy. Yeah, he's open to anything.
But could it benefit him to have that consistency of being in one place?
I don't think so. Look, I think the outfield, we talked about it too. He hasn't played in, a year plus, and shortstop's a pretty taxing position. He's had 2 surgeries this year. I don't know that the outfield takes a little off his plate some as well. But look, from where he's come from, he just wants to play and contribute and get out on the field, and does a lot of his damage with the bat in his hand.
How much do you know about a guy like Michael Wacha, and how much do you know about his pitching style?
Yeah, I can't confirm anything as far as that goes yet. Just from afar,
Yeah.
he looks like, from everything I've heard about him, he's all about team. He's a gamer, just wants to win, and so we'll see where that goes.
Thanks, Bob.
All right.
Appreciate it. Yep.